They set out to perform.
Well, I was taking a friend of mine to Memphis, Tennessee to record a record.
To tour, to chase the dream. But somewhere between the lights, the travel, and the noise, tragedy struck.
Roll singer Rick Nelson was killed last night in a private plane crash in Texas.
In moments no one could predict, lives were lost mid-tour, on the road, behind the scenes, even on stage itself. These weren't wild nights or reckless choices. These were accidents, ambushes, and heartbreak, wrapped in the chaos of life on the move.
I took him up there. They paid me to take him. I think they paid me about $10 to take him up there.
Just hired you as a driver?
Yeah, just to drive him up there. And so when I got there, after he finished the set.
At just 26, Otis Redding had become one of the brightest voices in soul music. He had just unseated Elvis Presley as Melody Maker's top male vocalist and was flying high, literally, on his first tour using his own private plane. But on December 10th, 1967, that dream ended just 4 miles from its destination in Madison, Wisconsin. The plane went down in heavy fog, plunging into a lake. Rescue divers spent days searching the water for bodies. Redding and most of his band, the Bar-Kays, were killed instantly. Only one man survived, trumpeter Ben Cauley, who clung to a seat cushion as he floated in the freezing water. The loss was especially cruel. Many of the Bar-Kays were still teenagers, so young they'd needed parental permission slips to join the tour. Their lives, and their music, were cut short before they'd even begun. Just 3 days before the crash, Redding had recorded what would become his most enduring song, "Sittin' on the Dock of the Bay." Released after his death, it was a haunting reminder of the talent and promise lost that cold winter night.
Two of us on the tour path, like Label Society. There's a lot of bands that have expressed interest, so hopefully something good will happen, and I know it will.
When Pantera split in the early 2000s, brothers Dimebag Darrell Abbott and Vinnie Paul weren't done making music. They formed Damage Plan, a new project fueled by Darrell's guitar brilliance and Vinnie's thunderous drumming. Their debut album was eagerly embraced, and the band hit the road to meet the demand. On December 8, 2004, they played Columbus, Ohio, at the small El Rosa Villa Club. The venue was packed with fans, many still loyal to Pantera. But one man in the crowd carried something darker than admiration. Nathan Gale, a 25-year-old former Marine recently diagnosed with paranoid schizophrenia, believed Pantera had stolen his lyrics and identity. Less than 2 minutes into the show, he pulled out a gun and opened fire.
Please, I need help as soon as possible.
Oh my God.
911.
Came in with a gun and started shooting people.
Oh, they're still shooting.
He's on stage right now. He's got a gun.
The guy's on stage with a gun?
In seconds, 4 lives were taken. A fan named Nathan Bray, crew member Jeff Thompson, venue worker Aaron Halk, and Dimebag Darrell himself. At just 38, one of metal's most influential guitarists was silenced on stage in front of the fans who had come to celebrate him. The night that should have been music became one of the darkest tragedies in rock history. In 2015, metalcore band The Ghost Inside was traveling from Texas to Phoenix when disaster struck. Just outside El Paso, their tour bus collided head-on with a truck. The impact was catastrophic, killing both drivers and leaving the band members with devastating injuries. Drummer Andrew Tkachuk suffered the worst. He endured head trauma, a shattered shoulder, multiple broken bones, and a coma that lasted 10 days. When he finally woke,
the debris. I woke up and it was outside and I could smell fumes, like diesel fumes, and disoriented, obviously.
doctors told him his right leg had been amputated. For a musician, the loss was almost unimaginable. For years, their future was uncertain. Would they ever take the stage again? Tkachuk refused to give up. Fitted with a prosthetic, he adapted with a custom device built by his father, allowing him to keep drumming against all odds. In July 2019, The Ghost Inside made their triumphant return with a sold-out show at LA's Shrine Auditorium. What could have ended their story instead became a testament to resilience. proof that even through tragedy, music can rise again.
I'm Jim Croce, and I live here. You know, I've spent about 10, 11 years.
Jim Croce's road to success was anything but easy. After his first album with his wife Ingrid went nowhere, he quit music and worked construction. But ABC/Dunhill Records gave him another chance, and Croce delivered. Hits like You Don't Mess Around with Jim and Operator broke through. And by 1973, Bad Bad Leroy Brown had hit number 1.
Leroy Brown, the baddest man in all.
At last, his career was soaring. Then just 6 months later, it was over. On September 20th, 1973, after a college concert in Louisiana, Croce boarded a small chartered plane with his band and crew. The aircraft never gained enough altitude. Just 250 feet past the runway, it struck a tree and crashed. Everyone on board was killed. Croce, at only 30 years old, along with his accompanist Maurice Mulison, comedian George Stevens, manager Dennis Fast, booking agent Dominic Cortese, and pilot Robert Newton Elliott. In a cruel twist, Croce had written to Ingrid the night before, saying he was ready to leave touring behind and focus on family. Instead, the world lost a voice that had only just begun to show its full power.
That's a song I want to sing. I've always said that. Like, I mess around with that song in my room just for fun. You know, I never thought that I would have the opportunity to sing that on stage.
Christina Grimmie's rise was as modern as it was meteoric. A teenager with a powerhouse voice, she went from viral YouTube covers to The Voice, where all 4 celebrity judges fought to have her on their team. Though she placed 3rd, she became one of the show's biggest success stories, signing a record deal, releasing 2 albums, and scoring 4 charting singles in the 2000s. In 2016, she embarked on the All the Lights tour, bringing her music directly to the fans who had supported her from the start.
It's going to be 2 patients, the female patient and the shooter.
On June 10th, after a show in Orlando, she stayed for a meet and greet and the kind of personal touch that made her so beloved. Among those waiting was Kevin Loibl, a deeply troubled fan who had become dangerously obsessed. Believing he was destined to be with Grimmie, he walked up to her, pulled out a gun, and fired at close range. Grimmie's brother tackled Loibl, but the damage was done. At just 22 years old, Christina Grimmie was gone, her career and her life stolen in front of the fans who adored her. Her death became a chilling reminder of how even the brightest stars can be extinguished in an instant.
I remember I was scared to death. You know, I went out there and all these people are there.
Rick Nelson was one of rock's first teen idols, a star of The Adventures of Ozzie and Harriet, whose smooth voice carried hits like I'm Walking, Poor Little Fool, and Lonesome Town.
Pretty Polynesian baby over the sea.
By the 1970s, he had reinvented himself with the country rock anthem Garden Party, proving his career was far from over. But a decade later, tragedy would silence him forever. On December 31st, 1985, Nelson and his band boarded his DC-3 airplane after a show in Alabama, heading to Dallas for a New Year's Eve performance. Mid-flight, something went terribly wrong. Witnesses saw the plane circling over DeKalb, Texas, and the pilot radioed that there was a fire on board.
Yankee, can you make it back to Texarkana?
Moments later, the aircraft plunged into a wooded area, hitting a power line before exploding on impact. The pilot survived with severe burns, but the 7 passengers did not. Nelson, just 45 years old, was killed alongside his fiancée and his band. For a man who had grown up in America's living rooms and then conquered the stage, it was a brutal ending. The flames that consumed his plane also extinguished one of rock's earliest and most enduring voices. In the late 70s, Chuck Mangione brought the flugelhorn into the pop spotlight. His smooth, soaring hit, Feels So Good, became a cultural touchstone, climbing the charts and defining an era of soft rock and adult contemporary. For decades, his music carried a polished joy, but in 2009, tragedy struck the band behind the sound. On February 12th, a flight left Newark bound for Buffalo, where Mangione and his group were set to perform with the Buffalo Philharmonic. Among the passengers were Jerry Niewood, Mangione's longtime saxophonist, and guitarist Coleman Mellett. Both were fixtures in his touring lineup, men who had helped shape his live shows for years. The plane never made it. It crashed into a suburban home just outside Buffalo, killing all 49 people on board and one person on the ground. Niewood was 64, Mellett just 33. Their loss devastated Mangione and led to the cancellation of the concert.
Has orchestral sounds in it that I had way back in 1970 and has an energy and a happiness that I've always...
For fans, the tragedy was a reminder that behind every legendary performer is a circle of musicians whose names may not be as well known, but whose contributions make the music unforgettable.
I think next week, I think we're in Santa Barbara next Friday, I'm pretty sure. And then from there we start working our way on up the coast and then back east.
In the late 1950s, Eddie Cochran's raw guitar and raspy vocals helped shape the first wave of rock and roll. With hits like Summertime Blues and Come On Everybody, he captured teenage rebellion in just a few chords. By 21, he was already an international star, his music crossing oceans as easily as it crossed genres. While softer pop began to dominate the charts in the US, Cochran's rough-edged sound remained wildly popular in the UK. He and fellow rocker Gene Vincent set out on tour there in 1960, packing venues and extending the run by another 10 weeks due to demand. But on April 16th, everything unraveled. After a show in Bristol, Cochran, Vincent, and others climbed into a cab bound for London. Late that night, the driver lost control on a winding stretch of road near Chippenham and slammed into a lamppost. Vincent survived with injuries. Cochran was thrown from the vehicle, suffering fatal head trauma. Hours later, doctors confirmed what fans would soon mourn worldwide. At just 21 years old, Eddie Cochran was gone. Another young talent cut down before rock's story had barely begun. In 2015, two underground metal bands, Chaotica and Wurmreich, joined forces on a southern U.S. tour. Their sounds were heavy and uncompromising, a mix of occult melodies and black metal fury. For fans, it was a rare chance to see both groups share the same stage. But after a show in Spartanburg, South Carolina, tragedy struck on the road to Atlanta. Their van driver fell asleep at the wheel. The vehicle drifted off the highway and slammed into a tree, twisting metal and lives in an instant. 8 people were rushed to hospitals, 3 in critical condition. 3 others never made it. Among the dead were Nicholas Chrysostomo, 25 of Chaotica, along with Ian McKinney, 30, and Paul Truesdell, 29 of Wurmreich. What should have been another night of music turned into mourning.
Determined in the whole collision. So as far as what charges we're going to make, this is way too early to make that determination.
For 2 bands still carving out their place in metal, the accident left behind not just empty stages, but a reminder of how unforgiving life on the road can be.
I'm always just trying to, like I say, just find new ways of making that traditional stuff sound new.
Josh Turner's deep, classic country voice earned him a loyal following, a sound that carried echoes of the genre's pioneers. In 2019, his tour brought him and his band to California, with a show in Paso Robles before heading north to Washington for their next gig. But the journey between stops turned into disaster.
A country singer's crew crashed in San Luis Obispo County and 1 person has died.
About 20 minutes outside of Paso Robles, the crew's tour bus veered off the road. It tore through a dirt shoulder, broke through a fence, and plunged 50 feet down a cliff near the town of Shandon. The bus finally came to rest in a dry riverbed, battered, broken, and silent. 7 people inside suffered serious injuries. One man, crew member David Turner, did not survive. His loss turned what should have been another night of music into a moment of grief and shock for everyone close to the band. For Josh Turner and his fans, the accident was a reminder that even the quiet, routine stretches of the road can change everything, leaving scars that no song can ever quite heal. A single show, a single trip, one night on tour. That's all it took to change everything. And some of these musicians died doing what they loved, yet none of them expected their journey to end on stage, in the air, or on the road. Which of these stories left you speechless? Tell us in the comments and let us know if we should cover more music legends and the tragedies that followed them. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and join our community of music history lovers. Thank you for watching.